when you have 5 men in a select committee, yet the assembly also has women. What does that tell us? You're so insensitive that you want those men to push me down my throat and kill me. That committee was null and void ab initio. The court has ruled, and the High Court ruled, that even the cabinet of Ruto is very unconstitutional. So a panel that you had jurisdiction on, and being a woman, you should have made it very constitutional. At least, even if I had appeared before that panel, I would have needed to see a woman or two. Leaders, even the MCAs in the House who are women, I would have expected you to rise up to be in that committee. But because the dictum here was, I should be killed. But there's a God in heaven. I am free. I thank the governor, I'm back to my job. I am willing to work. And yesterday when I came back, it is the first time that I saw the Form C that I normally signed. And the governor asked me, Mutanu, sign this document. And I signed. So the assembly is paid. The same hand that they beat is the same hand that assigned their salaries. Substantiated against what? There was no defender. And if the impeachment went through, then we are still waiting. Let them bring it on. There is nothing called an impeachment. What they requested is, the governor had written a letter firing me. It is in public domain. It is filed at the assembly. So the speaker wrote to the governor, acknowledging having received that letter where the governor had sacked me, and acknowledging now I can be degazetted because I am a gazetted officer. And for that purpose, the governor cannot degazette me because she has already received a High Court order reinstating me to my job. So there was no impeachment. Unless people now need to be trained on semantics. We pay them together with the allowances. But they had adjusted. And it had been adjusted on the IFMIS without my consent, without my knowledge, and without their request to my office. That is criminal. Let it be noted, that is criminal. And the clerk, what I suffered, because you already committed fraud, I would want the assembly now to impeach you, not me. The assembly should impeach the clerk that they have, not one Catherine Mutanu, and who did not disclose the material facts at that time. Once they had edited on that, it meant that we had to wait for the supplementary budget to be passed. We gazetted a supplementary. They gazetted a day for the supplementary, and they degazetted the same, which meant we could not also pay because there was no justification on the vote line they had already gotten those funds from. And so, by the time the supplementary went through, the end of the year, the end of the financial year was with us. The governor received the vellum. The vellum is the document that contains what was discussed at the supplementary budget on the 29th of June. At that time, we even expected the budget for the financial year 2026-2027 to have been passed. To date, as we speak, it has not been passed, and the assembly is on recess. He wrote back to me, accepting that they had interfered at the this point, and changes had been made without the knowledge of my office. That meant I was not aware of where they had drawn those funds, from which vote line to which vote line, to enable me process their allowances, which come together as a package together with their salary. From the accusations they had labeled against me, they were very general, speculative, and they unsupported by any credible documentation. There was a lot of hype, and what I would call media hype. There's a lot of use of big words, the interpretation of words without giving the substance by my accuser. That is the MCA PK, Peter Kilonzo of Mbuyuni. On gross violation, to me, the allegation actually did not meet the constitutional threshold. Because who has the measurement of the threshold? What accusation was he trying to prove? He kept on repeating and explaining those words, giving us the meaning, but not actually giving the substance of that matter. Consequently, trying to explain on gross violation, they accused me of the wage bill in the county. And I was stated that I became the CEC finance on the 11th of September 2025. So I would not have occasioned the wage bill because there was no employment. And even as we proceeded, all these things could not be attributed to me. 50% of the salaries that we pay to the health sector. And we pay because the health sector has more than 50% of our staff, and they have the CBS, there is the salaries SRC, and we have to obey to all that. As I got to the office this morning, I even found another notice that is stamped today, where the health workers are asking for issuance of pending promotion letters. And that comes with monetary implication. What does that have to do with one Catherine Mutanu or the CEC finance? When I came in the previous year, the revenue collected was at 2.1 billion, 2.18 billion, approximately 2 billion, 2.2 billion. But by the end of the financial year that I'm being accused, on 30th of June 2026, the revenue for the county stood at 3.352 billion. Is that revenue that can be collected by someone who is incompetent? Where does gross misconduct come there? How have I abused office? Yes. I think that's
has been called. We have a job to do.
I am not aware. The way you report about me, I expect you to report objectively.